Okay, we'll call this Committee of the Whole of June the 25th to order. I would like to mention that we are on the unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq as we hold this meeting. Record of attendance, everybody's here. What's that? Yeah, any conflicts of interest? And attendance, hang on. Go ahead, tell me. Fridge. Listen, don't laugh. Derek and I were just having a chat about putting the white stuff from the cow back in the thing that keeps stuff cold. I can't remember my words. Yeah, the agenda. Can we have approval of the agenda, please? Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Contrary? Motion carried. And then we have presentation. Okay. So we have David Solos and Todd Muse, who have just returned from overseas. Come on up. We're excited about this. Yep, there you go.
There you go. First of all, thank you. Thanks for asking us to come do this. Thanks for the invite for me and Dave to go over to Cheviot and do this. And thanks to Gil for thinking of us, right? So you have, you have a Dave who's a descendant of the Mayflower, and me who is a descendant of Pierre d'Entremont. So you got your history guys here, right? So when Gil asked us to do this, and you guys voted to send us, I probably tried to talk Dave into not going all weekend. Basically, because I know budgets are tight. I know, we had every reason to go. So that weekend, kind of looked into things, and then we discovered that there was 32 people from Yarmouth and Yarmouth County that were buried in Italy from World War II. So then the story started developing on what we needed to do. We had started having a purpose, and so we started putting this together. So my presentation is going to be part of the military part, and then Dave will jump in and do his presentation on the flowers. So these are the 13 cemeteries. There's more cemeteries than this, but these are 13 that are in Italy that have people from Yarmouth and Yarmouth County buried in there. So as we did this research and trying to figure out how to tell this story to Cheviot and Italy, we came up working with Mike with panels, and this is actually the size of the panel that we used. So this is actually in our garden showing what's on here. When they scan the one on the left, they get the town website, and it tells a description of all the names that are on there, where they're from, who they are, where they died. That's on our town website. The other one is the Wartime Heritage Association, which is Glenn Gaudette and George Egan. And if you guys don't know about that Wartime Heritage Association, I suggest that you put it down, because it's a great website that these guys have gone beyond to recognize people from Yarmouth and Yarmouth County from World War I, World War II, Korea, you name it. So my job to find the 32 people was very easy by just going on their website. So when we worked with Mike put this together, and yeah, it was a very easy way to display the 32 people. So this is all their names, right? So we see some Lents and Ameros and Dowsetts and familiar names and where they're from the South Ohio to Lower Wedgeport to Cummos Hill. So when this story, the more research me and Dave did on this, and what the plant in this garden started taking shape, it kind of got us a little bit more excited on a reason to go over. I hooked up with the West Nova Scotia Regiment. A lot of Nova Scotians went through this area which we were going to Chevia, and I didn't know where Chevia was either. So discovering Chevia and understanding where they were going, I had to understand the story a little bit more if I was going to go over there and talk to the people over there. So reaching out to the West Nova Scotia Regiment, they sent me this book, and Rimini is just south of Chevia. So we could actually map where they came through Rimini up through Chevia. And we had a lot of people from Yarmouth go through there and fight there. And some of them stayed there, right? So that's what our goal was, to tell this story when we were over there. This is just some of the maps. And I'm going to show you on Google Maps where Chevia is here in a second when this is done. So you can see up here where Rimini is. In all these records, you have West Nova Scotia Regiment right there. We could actually map out the valleys of actually where they were coming through, right along there, Chevia. And after 82 years, they haven't forgotten what these men have done. They still, October 22nd in Chevia, they celebrate their liberation every year, just like we do at the November 11th. And we found that when we were there, there was the older generation, like my generation, you guys, they got it. But our goal was to make sure that the next generation understood it and carried it on, right? So that was we had a lot of goals over there to do, and I think we did that. So these are just maps that we knew that we had to follow the route of where these guys followed through. So Chevia is right here, okay? I'm going to go quickly through this stuff. So on part of our mission, when we found out 32 kilometers away from Chevia, southeast Chevia, was Coriano Ridge Cemetery. So when I looked at that one, there was 4 people that had familiar names. So there was William Muse, which was my cousin.
Oh my gosh.
Which we didn't know at the time. So as the story went on, it kind of made the hair on Dave and I's neck stand up. So William was from Frog Point, his family was, so we didn't know William was buried in there. There was a Kenneth Higby, which is Dave's relative. So Dave actually had a relative buried in that cemetery. There was a Vickery, which is Tom Vickery from Rockville's relative, if you know Tom, and that's Alvina's husband. So Alvina's husband, Tom, had a relative in there. And John Hattie, so Jonathan Hattie, Terry's Reynolds, I mean, Jonathan didn't know his grandfather. I mean, and some of these guys, William and John actually went over there in their 30s after having 3 kids. So you imagine the bravery of, it's one thing when you're 20 years old and you're full of energy to go fight a war, but when you're 30-something and you have 3 kids, you're a farmer, you're a fisherman in your life, and you decide to go over, that's even more, braver, I think. So we had arrived in Chevia on Thursday. We had Friday off. We were only planting on Saturday. So like Dora the Explorer, I put on my rucksack and me and Dave went on an adventure. So we walked down to the train station and never knew. We had to go down to Rimini, and then we had to get a cab from Rimini to Coriano Ridge. So these pins that I have here, I gave out pins and Dave did too the whole time. I reached out to Veterans Affairs and they gave me, I have a little connection there, Lisa Sheffer. So she sent me 200 of these pins, Canada Remembers, with the maple leaf and the poppies, telling the story of the bravery of Canadians. So I handed them out to everybody, Dave did too, anybody we could, from kids to the English, the translation. A lot of people, the language barrier was very hard. A lot of them didn't understand English, but they would go translate that, and then they'd understand what we were doing, right? So when me and Dave hopped on the train, we went down to Chevia, or we went down to Rimini. We got a cab, cost us $120. I found a lady with a cab, and I had these maps, the maps I just showed you. And I'm explaining to her, okay, we want to go to Coriano Ridge, how much? So we're trying to talk English, right? But it's hard understanding. Anyway, They understood after, when they seen Dave's Canada hat, and they understood, okay, these guys want to go to the cemetery. So it cost us $120 to go. I said, how much to bring us there and wait 1 hour? Because we didn't want to be down there and left in the boonies and then have to find our way back, right? So we arranged that with them. They brought us back there. She was great. And then as she understood the story more coming up to the cemetery, I think she understood what we were there to do, right? So when we got there, this is Coriano Ridge. So first of all, we got the index, and I found William's site. I had brought a wreath, and we had brought Canada flags and Acadian flags and Nova Scotia flags to put on all of them 4 cemeteries, right? So this was Williams. Dave did his thing with Kenneth Higby. That's Leslie Vickery, right? So just that hour there, their cemeteries were just beautiful. Like there wasn't they like I said, they kept everything. There wasn't a weed. It was just beautiful in there. So our hour was very special. One of the big things, like I said, with us was handing out flags, handing out pins, and me and Dave went over there making sure that they didn't forget us. Now, me and Dave are not much for storytellers, so yeah. Right, yeah. So, yeah. Me and Dave have a hard time talking, but no, once we got down there, that was one of our goals, to make sure that younger generation didn't forget. These 2 poppies, there's a guy from Wedgeport, he's passed now, or from Cumulus Hill, Miff O'Connell. Miff would have came through the Dragoons back there through Cheviot. So I put up a couple poppies there for his family there on our Lest We Forget banner. Talking about leaving it to the younger generation, they had just elected their new mayor. He was elected the Wednesday. We had this ceremony on Thursday. This was his first ceremony. He was elected the Wednesday, the day before at noon. 32 years old. So it tied in so good with our story, and this is Dave with 10 minutes, which was great with him, to explain to him, and he understood to make sure that nobody ever forgets what we're doing, right, to tell the story, and I think we left that with him pretty, knowing that that was going to be done, right? These 5 names on this plaque is right where we planted our garden, and these are 5 soldiers from Canada that actually died in the liberation of Cheviot. The West Novies would have went through probably 10 kilometers away from Cheviot, coming through the valleys there, but these guys had died right in the city, and that's why that monument is there. We got a chance to go to San Marino, which is a country right in Italy. It's the 5th smallest country in the world, and it's the smallest republic. And up there on their cliffs, up on the castles where these pictures are taken, and below there are the valleys. That's the valleys that they would have went through. So we could actually, knowing by these maps, knowing by them maps, we could actually stand there, me and Dave, and actually say, okay, they would have went through here, and actually see from a bird's eye view where they were going through, right? So pretty special. Dave will get in more of the planning, but that is our wreath. I had a banner made by Kim's Embroidery, an 8-foot wreath. That wreath is that banner is 8 feet long that says "Lest We Forget." I don't need to go through that. And this was our final picture of our garden. So you can see our 2 plaques, the wreath, the sign they put on. We left the Nova Scotia flag. We left the Acadian flag back there. And that's it for my part. Okay. And this.
Go ahead, just do this.
Yep.
Hang on.
Yep,
He
go
says
ahead.
this.
Yep.
Yes, no. Alt and tab. No. Mike.
What was it, Alt and Tab?
Yep. Hang on.
Go ahead.
Over here. What was that one?
Now yours is
There we
right there.
are,
Yep. Just
Okay.
start. Yep, go ahead. From the beginning.
There we are. Okay. So, So the gardening part of our experience, when we started, we were told that we would have 50 square meters to plant. And the practice that we've had here really paid off because you can find out how much each plant is supposed to cover. And so calculated using a 50 square meter square, how many plants we should get. So Todd started to think about what it should look like, and the theme of this was Flowers of Freedom, Roots of Hope. So Todd went out in the snow, mapped out 50 square meters, and then our idea is to have this central circular wreath with other flowers as a background and radiating out from it. So just under 900 plants were ordered. The plan was this 8-foot red wreath with a white center surrounded by a 12-pointed yellow star. And then from that, there would be alternating bands of red and white flowers, red and white sun patients. And then the purple ribbon with the words, "Lest We Forget," that Todd mentioned. When we got to our spot, and just before we left, Todd does a lot of research, I will say. If he's going to do something, he wants to know well before he gets there. We discovered that our space was not square. So we had to modify that plan. It's still 50 square meters, but it's a different shape. So we got our instructions on, that was Friday morning, and this is Mauro Paradisi, the gentleman here with the white hair. He was kind of a guide for us all the way through, and that is the team from Stratford beside us. We are next to the church in the city square is where we're going to plant. Todd mentioned the plaque memorial to the Canadians. Where we planted was actually a place where those Canadians were first buried during the war. So the information panels Todd referred to, we figured out where they were going to go. The plants arrived. There they are spread out on the ground. This is what the plants were. They're plants that I was familiar with because we'd used them here in Yarmouth, the red and white sun patients for the most part. So site preparation had to take place. If you look at where Todd's standing, you'll see that there is an 8-foot wreath mapped out in the soil. The soil had been tilled up, but they had a lot of clay in it, so we had to work some peat moss into it first, and then we got ready to plant. Starting at the center and working outwards, I started with that white central circle of the wreath, and you'll see it evolve. Todd used that rope that he had marked off in 1 foot measures to mark the circle, and the wreath starts to take shape. I'm planting, Todd's passing me plants. We were like a tag team, and it went steadily through that morning. And you can see the wreath again taking shape. We're about mid-morning here, and it continues. And then this is late morning with the 8-foot ribbon in place. So the wreath part is completed. We had a break for lunch, came back and started putting the outside of the wreath in. That's the yellow San Vitalia plant that is going to separate the red from the rest of the garden. Todd showed you this picture, but it was just too sweet. Any person that came along, Todd, you would not believe the ambassador this town has. Any child, any adult, any older person, he would pass them a flag or a pin, and they would often, as he said, go away and get it translated, and a lot of them came back afterwards. They started discovering what we were all about. So by Saturday afternoon, we were just about there. And so most of the garden is planted. So there's the end of day one. You can see it again here. So Monday, we had to prepare to install a sod border, and the sod was nicely packaged in rolls. We had to smooth the edges, and then you see the people arrive to install the sign representing our town. Each garden gets a sign of its own prepared by the city of Cervia. There's the sign at the back of our garden. And then here we are rolling out the sod and getting that tidy edge for the garden. We're just about finished there with the sod in place, put on the finishing touches on the other side of the sod border, and our garden is pretty much complete. We had more young visitors come along. Todd was not going to let them go away without explaining, and they could actually speak some English, those two boys. So here we are, pretty close to the end. The two interpretive panels are in place. Todd's adding the two poppies to the ribbon that he mentioned. Oh, the other interpretive panel, yeah. So, and I wonder, I might have a picture of it here. That's the one with Italy. I think I've got a picture of it in here coming up. Again, this is the sod, like a sod pathway around it. There's a view from the top, so you need to imagine what that's going to be like in about 3 weeks. This is the team. That's Mauro Paradisi. He was one of our judges in Communities in Bloom, and his wife Julianne, and Todd and myself, the planting team. There you have a better view of the wreath towards the end. And the red and white flowers, because they're so prolific, they will pretty much completely cover that with red and white color, and then the yellow and green border will stand out. There are alternating red and white rays coming from it. We had our Town of Yarmouth flag that we displayed with our garden as well, as a Nova Scotia flag in the back. This is our neighbor, the city of Stratford, Ontario. It's interesting, we had the East Coast here, city of Stratford from middle of Canada next door to us. Their garden featured a red poppy done in red stone on a white stone path, and then the red, white, and green of the Italian flag. And then across from us was Maple Ridge, British Columbia, and their garden was primarily a peace sign. People in this
Those
photo.
colors are all going to come in too, like yours, right?
Sorry?
Those colors are all going to come in like yours.
Ours will be thicker.
Yeah. They look
I
like impatiens.
plant my plants close together because
Yeah.
that was a recommendation of judges from Communities in Bloom, right?
There you go.
So the people in this photo, the lady back two is the wife of the person. This all started with one person's idea of planting gardens throughout the city, and then it was his son who carried that forward and started inviting other communities to participate. And this is his widow, the lady on the left with the blonde hair, and then the daughter is the person facing us. And they were very much, very, very interested in what we were doing. So here's the other panel. And just in case anybody says, what value is there to the town of Yarmouth in sending two crazy people to go plant flowers in a city in another country? This panel will be there through till November. The QR codes on it take you to the town of Yarmouth, to Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism, to the Southwest Nova, the UNESCO Southwest Nova Biosphere, and the what? Oh, sorry, yeah, the Communities in Bloom site. So those are the 4 QR codes. If a fraction of the people who said they were going to come because we were there come to Yarmouth, it will way more than cover any cost that was incurred by us. The other thing people need to know is we had to get there, but all of the plants, the accommodation, and the food was supplied by the city of Cervia. We paid nothing for that. So again, Todd has spoken about these already, the Italian war cemeteries, the memorial that was out by the front of our garden. On Monday, they took us through the city to see some of the other gardens that other communities have planted. So we're part of, I guess we could say, a Canadian team. We kind of traveled as a group, the 3 communities, but we came to discover there are over 60 communities that have gardens in this city. And so I'm just going to flip through some of these quickly so you can see some of the amazing landscapes that they've created in this city. So Cervia is known now as the city that has the largest outdoor display of floral art in all of Europe, and it attracts people because of that. The other thing I want to point out here is if you look at the shade cover in much of this, the urban forest, it's really remarkable. And the quality of air in this city was noticeably different than it was in the other 2 cities we visited. And that, I would suggest, is directly a result of this forest canopy that's really remarkable. Some of it are these Italian umbrella pines, and the other were trees that were remarkable were their sycamore trees. So again, all of these amazing gardens. So the red, white, and green, that's representing the Italian flag. there was much spoken about Italy's, I want to say the Italian resistance during World War II and the move to freedom and sovereignty for the nation. The red, or the blue and yellow here will remind you of a country that is going through a difficult time right now. You'll see a lot of references to peace. This one has a lot of recycled art in it, another Italian flag. This was the city of Alba, and this is the team from Alba. So we were two, Todd and I. You can look at the size of that team, and we were small but mighty, I'm going to say. The first duty of the new mayor, Todd mentioned, was to do this honor at the square just next to our garden, where the 5 Canadians who were killed there were remembered. And that came about as I want to say, a suggestion from the Canadian team. We had other tours. So they have what they call the House of Volunteers, where volunteer groups in the community can gather. The gentleman here is over 80 years old, and Todd's passing out pins to everyone. This gentleman decides he's got to drive home and get a pin to give back to Todd. The events finished with a gala celebration where all 60 communities were invited. This is our presentation to Bruna Rondoni. She was, I want to say, she's employed by the city to coordinate events. She's one of those people that's paid for a few hours, but she works endlessly. And if you could see the things that she had managed to pull off in this community, it's amazing. So this was our presentation to her. There were numbers of moments that were emotional during this. Todd mentioned some of the ones in the Coriano Ridge Cemetery where we encounter the graves of people who would have been community members and relatives. This was the Ukrainian team. The gentleman on the right is a leader of Ukrainian tourism. Imagine the job he has right now. So the fact that they were there at all was really, really striking. We gave a presentation to Mauro Paradisi and his wife. Our plane was leaving at 10:30 from Bologna. We needed to get there at least an hour ahead, and I still lost my phone. He drove us. He offered to drive us there, so the train wouldn't get us there in time. This is the crew of participants at the gala celebration, cities from across Europe, and we were really proud to be Canadian representatives there. And this was our presentation of our Town of Yarmouth flag to the new mayor of Cervia. I was thinking about this, and this project's about way more than flowers, in the same way that Communities in Bloom is not just about flowers. It's maybe the wrong name for it, I don't know. But if you think about bringing people together from diverse communities to plant gardens, something happens when you're working next to a community that's planting a garden beside you. So our town is now represented, and there's tourism information there just in case somebody asks you. The visual impact throughout the city is striking. This message of building peace and relationships is powerful. So this idea of learning to plant trees and flowers instead of bombs, really powerful stuff. And it was I want to say, a life-changing experience. So thank you to everyone here who made that possible. These are some of the poppies that were blooming in the Coriano Ridge Cemetery. And at that gala celebration, they sent a gift back for our town. So I'll present this now to Your Worship, Mayor Mood.
Oh, you want pictures, Mike? You gotta tell me please address.
So they have a competition to create a remembrance of this event. And each of the participating cities receive one of these handmade plaques done by the winner It was a pleasure. I did, yes. Oh, I'll tell you this too. So I did collect seeds from, whoops, I should go back to that. I collected seeds from the poppies in the Coriano Ridge Cemetery, and I declared them at customs because I went online and it said those are legal, and they allowed us to bring those back. So I want to see if we can get some of those growing here.
Yes.
Okay? Todd mentioned early on he was trying to talk me out of going. I had no plans to go initially, but when he discovered the Yarmouth connections, he started to get excited. He didn't tell you, he really does not like to fly. He got over that. So much learning for us, and I have to say that Yarmouth is now known in Trivia for whatever reason. It was an honor to be there, and we were treated like family, and that's the way we felt as we left. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and who knows, we'll probably have Trivia back here at some point.
We hope so. Any questions? Go ahead there, Counselor.
I just want to say, first off, congratulations and thank you. You do us proud with what you've done. And you do it with other things you've done as well. I'm really curious, how big is Trivia?
So Trivia, the numbers they gave us, and Todd looked up official numbers, so it's about 27,000 people, what we were told, but in the summer it grows to 300,000. So just down the street from our hotel was located midway between the coast, the beach, which is an endless sandy beach, and the city square. And the beach, first of all, it's not a free access kind of beach. You've got to have a way of getting in. And the access points are pretty much all controlled by hotels. But the other thing is the beach is endless. Lounges and umbrellas. And I don't mean it, I mean endless, like thousands and thousands. And you can rent one for about 15 euros. So yeah, we did go down to the beach one day just to see what it was like. They don't have tides like we do. They do have jellyfish. But the water's warm. It's the Adriatic.
Do they have, I'm really trying to figure out in my mind, just picture in my mind, with all of these different gardens that are set up and set up yearly, obviously, they must have an enormous amount of green spaces.
They do. Yeah, when you're talking green space, they do have, it's a huge commitment from the city, I have to say, but I believe it's given them a name that has, well when I say they explode to 300 citizens or 300 people in the summer, that's all money coming in. So from an economic position or an economic perspective, it's paying. They commit to caring for the gardens while we're not there. And that's a major commitment. I mean, we have some gardens here, and it's a lot of work for the people that do that. So putting them in the ground is that's the easy part. It's keeping them weeded and looking good for the rest of the year that's a challenge. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Can you see that map on the other side?
Does that
I'm
come?
just going to show you where Cheviot is.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah, thanks.
Eric, you're on
Italy.
after. I was just looking here.
Here you go.
Okay, so there's where Cheviot is on the east coast. And when I was talking about Rimini, that's just down here, right? That's only 32 kilometers. Cheviot.
So you're right across from.
Oh, you can probably show them our garden on the map.
So I'm going to show you. So this is where we planted, actually. So this is the bird's eye view. I can zoom right into it. So right here, where my pointer is there, that's where the town hall was. And this is they put us right in the heart of the city, right downtown, right in the prime spot.
There was something happening in that square every day and every night.
They are a busy city, and you can see the beach is right there. I mean, you probably have 10 kilometers of beach stretching the whole length, right? In our hotel, everything like that was A1. It was almost like the perfect vacation until our flight home. And then Dave lost his phone, and then that kind of, we had to recover that. But other than that, like the food, the hospitality, the people.
It was amazing.
They're
It was worth losing a phone for, and then some.
the food especially, the food was it digested very well. Their bread isn't filled with a lot of probably the stuff that we have in ours. Just digested well.
No GMO
No, none of that.
in their food.
And their people are very happy. I mean, it was nothing for us to be walking on the sidewalk and hear a ding ding and have an 80-year-old lady behind us on a bike telling us to move out of the way because we were in the lane, right?
Lots of
And,
bicycles. for
I mean,
sure.
they are a happy people. They're doing things right. And it's like Dave said, the city, when we went to the other places, the smell was totally different than Cheviot. It shows what plants and trees and that can do to and they have just as much traffic. I mean, the cars are going by. I mean, it's just,
healthy.
it was just a healthy place. Yeah.
Looks new.
And they have the same problems with their pavers. I could show you
Yes.
pictures. Their pavers like we have on Water Street popping up probably worse than ours. And when you got to the sections that you have asphalt, like at the Mariner Center, that you have just a path going around, I mean, those are the paths that people are using, right? But they have the same issues with pavers and stuff like that popping up. So just stuff that we notice in there, you know, on our walks and stuff like that, so.
Counselor Lesser.
Am I next? Yep. Okay. Thank you for the presentation. An interesting point, we have a girl living with us from Italy, and she's from Milan. And when I told her that our neighbor was going to Italy, she wanted to know where, and I showed her, and she said, that's where we go on vacation every summer. And then I said they're going to visit a graveyard with Canadian soldiers that are connected to them. She knew where the graveyard, like she knew all of it.
Wow.
So it makes the world seem so much smaller when that happens. All of it's really exciting, and sounds like maybe you guys want to start hosting Italian students if you're ever interested. No, it's an incredible culture as well, and we're very proud that you guys were representing us there. Thank you.
We learned a lot about the city too. So Cervia made its money from salt, and they did, and it wasn't mined. It was where they would pulp seawater in and evaporate it, and then you let it gather or collect, and then it's broken up and it was sold. And this is going back into the mid 1800s, and so their waterfront warehouses they've had to repurpose because salt is not the economic driver that it once was for them. So it's a city that's had to reinvent itself in many ways, just like we did after the days of sail. So in many ways, we have some similarities. As a coastal community, it's had to look at economic reinvigorating our economy and thinking outside the box. Remarkable city.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, and I'll be brief. I just wanted to say that we, as a committee, will endeavor to get pictures later in the season as the flowers come into bloom, so that you can actually see how spectacular this garden is going to look. And the other thing is, it's another story when you get a chance to corner Todd about the fact that he had to get these posts and panels designed and built here and get them into Italy in an oversized suitcase. So it's a story in itself. So if you get a chance to chat with Todd about that, it's kind of interesting. Anyway, thanks, guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. They did seize Todd's wrench on the way back because he had it in his carry-on.
I left it. Yeah. That's the only thing I lost.
That's the only thing you lost. Yeah, that's better than the phone, I'll tell you.
So we've got these, they're on the front page. Page of paper. Just sent it on Friday. Thank you. Okay. Okay, now we have staff reports. So the CAO's report is there. Any questions or anything you can go through, Lindsay, or Jeff will be back next week. The senior safety report is there as well. Anybody have any questions on that? Go ahead, Deputy.
Not any questions. I just see that the $10,000 age-friendly grant was
Yeah.
secured by Muriel, so great job on that. And hopefully it makes a difference in our community, especially for our seniors.
Yep,
Good job.
excellent. Go ahead.
And just from reading that one-page report, it's easy to see the value of this program.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, she's busy. She's really busy on this, so that's good. Okay, fire department report, and the chief is here. Any questions? Go ahead, deputy.
Not a question, just a comment. I see there's 3 of your members who have been upgraded or promoted or whatnot, and I see full-time members now female, so I think that's great to add. So great job to you and the crew out there, and all the best to Noah, Tyler, and to Danica.
Go ahead, Councillor Lesser.
I'm just going to actually say the same thing. It's really neat to see a female staff position filled. I know Danica, and it was a good choice, and it's exciting that our fire department has hired a female. Thank you.
So the hires are great, and on top of that, everything's painted, so you kind of walk in and it's fresh and it's clean. It's almost like everything was, let's just revamp this and start again. Yeah, that's good. And it's little things like paint just makes a big difference in how things feel. So good on you. Thanks. Any more questions for the chief? You're good? Okay. Operational services, Chad's, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I noticed that the Level 1 firefighter training program is nearing its conclusion. What time this weekend do you, like, if someone from council were to pop in, what would be a good time?
Saturday, they're doing the classroom portion in the morning, so outside activities are usually going to start probably around 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon on Saturday, and then the outside activities on Sunday.
Okay, great. And that Level 1 firefighter training, how many individuals were involved in the process?
As far as how many have we trained, we had 12 members.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we got
That's
12 members that have gone through the program. There's some that need a little bit of catching up on a few chapters that they missed.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we'll have a good complement coming out of this group.
That's, I mean, I just think it's terrific to have in-house training that we don't have to rely on going away for our firefighters to stay up to code, and congratulations on that. It's wonderful. Thank you.
We're good? I missed that light. Okay, operational services, and Chad's not here, but if there's anything, again, like go through Lindsay, or go ahead, whoops. Oh, go ahead, Councillor.
Not a question about the report, but I had a resident today who said they were going to actually email council as well, but I said I'd bring it up. Their question was around, which I thought sounded like a good idea, but I'm never sure on how the lights work, especially on Stairs Road. Their suggestion was, could we look at, and maybe this is something that staff could look at, could we look at a system where lights would go to flashing from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? Because the traffic has gone down. Their argument, the traffic has gone down at that point, and traffic would move faster. And then when the lights do go down, people would understand how a flashing light would work. I'm not sure. I have no idea if that's a good move or not, but that was their question. They wanted to see if we can explore looking at some kind of way of helping with the traffic. But I guess my question really comes, like, I'd like to find out, and I know it's been explained, but which of the lights do we operate on Stars Road? And
I thought it was, Councillor Dares, you might know better, but I know that we don't have any control over the ones on the 101 because we just got that note back saying, no, we're not putting in a left turn, which is really holding up traffic. They just won't put it in and it's their lights. So can you speak better to that? If you guys don't mind, I'm going to let him.
I believe you're correct. I think that the only one we don't control is the one that connects at the end of the 101. The others are in control of the town. However, some of them are old technology.
Yes.
And the old technology is unfortunately the ones that fail. The one at Pleasant and Stars, for example, is old technology, and so there's very limited control over what they can do.
Yeah.
The other ones could be done, but I think most of them are, the other ones are new.
Yeah.
And they could be adjusted. Whether or not it would be time-saving or not, it would be something that would have to be studied.
Yeah, and I think they'd have to study it because we've got hockey games where things are backed up. I say graduation, but graduation's at the high school, isn't it?
Yep.
This time, yeah.
Just because of the ice
You know,
pad, please.
those those big things where Stars Road just gets backed up. So how do you, right? We can't have them running out, but you go ahead.
sorry, I pressed my mic off. Yeah, I think what they're trying to figure out is there any way to help with traffic on Stars Road?
Yeah.
And I know there are plans, of down the road, 2031 or something, of opening up Clements Avenue and those kind of things, which will help. But I think their thoughts were at night often, people are sitting waiting for a light to change and there's nobody else in any direction. But like you said, when there's a hockey game, there's certainly a lot of traffic around. And I don't know if there's any kind of sensors that can detect when a light's, when a car pulls up versus, which I thought existed already. But if one car is pulled up in one direction, it would automatically switch. But I think their intention is good. I don't know if their
if
ideas.
you want to make a motion and get it, that's up to you. If you want to motion it and see if staff will look into it, or if you want to maybe give Mr. LeBlanc a call and just say, is there something we already have there, so he doesn't have to do a...
I guess I'm just trying to find answers to get back to them. But they did say they could write to council, and I said I'll bring it tonight and see if I can get some answers. But I think they're just trying to figure out, is there a way of helping with traffic? And there are times that traffic's busy on Stars Road, but that's a good sign for Yarmouth, I think, when we're backed up. And I do think the 101 is causing some issues which we don't have control of. So
I agree.
I'll get a hold of Chad if that's okay and talk to him. And
You're okay with that?
yeah, and if I find anything out, I'll share with council.
Yeah, and then if there's any light, then just bring it back and do a motion and
Okay.
get them to do, yeah. So
Thank you.
now you've got something to take back as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Good stuff. Go ahead, Deputy.
I just wanted to make a comment. I was down at Fresh Mart a few days ago. I see the new bus shelter is in place down there as well. And
Yeah.
the others are, I notice at night, it's nice to see the solar lights and a little light up in there. So it's a nice addition to our town and continue to build on our transit system for sure.
Yeah, we had, I just want to, this is I think the bus shelter's up now, but there was a bear in there. Did you see that? There was a pretend bear. You can pass that out down too. Right? Okay? There's a bear in the shelter. Go ahead, Councillor Hatfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know Chad is not here, but I just wanted to make the observation that according to the operations manager, the marina is fully booked for the season. So the Killam Wharf Marina is fully booked
Yeah.
for the season. And I just wonder what that means. I would assume fully booked with local boaters. So what happens when a visiting sailboat comes into the harbor and wants mooring and to do a shower and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Can we ask that? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we will ask that. That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure there's vessels that come in continually in the summer, in and out. Go ahead.
I know from past experience working the waterfront that there's a number of moorings offshore.
Yeah.
Where boats can tie up, and most of them have a tender on board that they can get back and forth.
Right on.
And typically there's at least one of the outside fingers that's kept empty so that people can bring their boat in. And if they have to, bring it in, but not to stay. They can't permanently tie up there.
No, but-
And then they can go to a mooring. So it's well managed.
Yeah. So, are you, we're still going to ask? Yeah. As long as we know that, yep, as long as they can come in and get access. Okay? Anything else under operational? Planning, we have our planner here, Mr. Beck. Any questions? You're a little busy. You're a little busy. So just noticing like the amounts of, actually in this in this town beacon, I think one of the best things was putting those numbers in so that folks, because we get calls every day, or if you post about housing, then you get, these are not affordable. They're affordable to somebody though. So it was great to see the numbers that, you know, and there's more coming. So that's really, really important. Did you want to share about that, what's coming? Up at the microphone that we didn't get the chief to come up to, but he will next time.
I think I'm going to repeat myself a little bit, but we did receive the application for high school, and I think article has been published last night that I believe I shared with you for you to share with the rest of council. I didn't send it to all of you, but so share away. So there is 36 units right there, plus the commercial component, you know, to be determined what that is. But right now they're looking for medical clinic, a bit of a conference event facility within the old sort of a central part of the high school, the gym and the surrounding sort of spaces. All three wings of the high school are proposed to be turned into a residential units. As I explained, the landowner's been working really hard for the past 12 months plus to secure the right sort of consortium of engineers and consultants, many of which are local. He believes in that, and so that's wonderful news, and I think that's reflected in the article that you may have read or you'll see. We're about to approve Jarvis Road. I believe the development permit should be done soon, and we're hoping maybe to look at building permit approval next week. So that's 29 units on Jarvis, which allows them then to go and have some serious discussions about funding. As you can imagine, that's an expensive project. I think they put about $8.5 million value on that project, so that it's one of the bigger ones we would have seen, even more expensive than what's on the waterfront or what's been done on Shaw Avenue.
These are duplexes, right? Are they?
So Jarvis is a multi-residential single main building, so it's apartments.
Oh, good. Okay, it's not what's there. Okay.
Correct. Same thing with school. The difference with the high school is that the owner is thinking about actually selling the units. So it would be a first in Yarmouth, a condo, and not a simple one. You're combining a residential in multiple stories and commercial into it, so strata subdivisions, and so he's got his work cut out on that end as well. You may have seen that at and Yarmouth Reg's been notified of that. However, you may see the entrances from Pleasant Street and entrances from Grand Street blocked off. That's sort of like the first initial nudge or indication that something is happening, and so next step will be actually erecting fence around the site. We're expecting probably a couple of months on the review of the development building permit. We'll do whatever we can. We're likely going to be asking the CAO to designate it as a corporate priority, like we've done with Jarvis, just to assist with the review and make sure the staff is, you know, available to sort of get that done and attend to it as needed. That's really on the residential side of things. There's other couple things. Obviously, MPS and LUB is heading towards public hearing. It's quick turnaround between the first reading that was last week and July 9th, I think, right? And so we just, thank you, Mike, got the advertisement out to see what comes back in terms of responses from public. so far has been relatively quiet. Not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing, but
Only quiet until it goes through, and then there's,
probably. And so on that, we've had a range of opportunities for people to engage with us. Again, it wasn't as strong as we've seen with some of the projects that we've done over the last couple of years, but we can certainly say with comfort that we've provided those opportunities for people to engage. Same with yourselves. Now, things that you may want to sort of pay attention to as you're heading towards public hearing, things like we've added allowance for a third accessory building, right? Accessory building and sheds in town and in this part of Canada anyway are a big thing, and so we've added allowance for one more. We've included piece about electric fences, so that would be now allowed under new land use bylaw in town with some parameters and measures. There's obviously discussion about the office and medical clinics, so we've expanded it within a reason that we believe is justifiable based on historical practice and established sort of policies. And obviously allowance for residential, we scaled it back a little bit in our established R1 zones, where it's not the 8 or plus like it was, but people can do the 2 as of right and up to 4 with a bit of a process and involvement and process including appeals. And so there's some allowance flexibility, but we try to keep it within reason, given the community scale, community history, and sort of what we've been hearing from citizens. That's really, I don't want to take up most of your afternoon.
good. I did want to mention one thing to council and for your benefit. I got a call today from the owner of the high school who is concerned that the tree might have to come down, which just, I can guarantee everybody at the table is going, right. So he is, I know it's important to the community, so he has an arborist coming in tomorrow or this week. That'll be tomorrow, yeah. And to take a peek and to assure us that it needs to come down or whatever the steps are. And then he mentioned about, if that's the case, because he understands how, longstanding that tree was and important to the community, that, maybe the town could get together with them and do, coffee and a cake or something. If it comes down, just say, here's to new beginnings and we can plant a new tree. That type of thing, just so it doesn't go unnoticed that it was important. So I thought that was a really nice thought. Go ahead, Councillor Hatfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to cycle back for a minute to the planner's comments regarding public participation and make a note that at the last Planning Advisory Committee meeting before the Municipal Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw Review came to Council, we held a public participation meeting in advance of that, and there was not a person or a written response to that. However, the Committee of Council, the Planning Committee, residents and council members engaged in about a 2.5 to 3 hour intensive deliberation about a number of points that there were concerns about. And in the middle of that very engaged conversation, I looked around the table and I noticed that all of us around the table had something they were concerned about. But the key here is that no one was concerned about the same thing. And no one had there was no preponderance of opinion in one direction. And I think what I came to the conclusion from that is that maybe we have found something of a sweet spot with modifications, because it's a living document. But I mean, we came out of that looking at 12 recommendations. I think half of them were approved and half of them were not. And brought those forward, and they've been incorporated into the final document. So I want to commend the process, I guess. It's long, it takes a lot of collaboration and negotiation, but if we all feel a little bit uncomfortable about different things, but we can live with it, then we have a document that probably is going to work for everybody. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just thinking back about the tree, good point, by the way, about the tree and how important it is to the community, you know, having had that article written years ago, and it's just been such a big part. But we do know from Councillor Dares as well that we do have a problem with some of these trees. And I'm just wondering if we could be proactive in getting the message out that some of these trees have been affected. The timing of the high school project and the tree coming down are going to look like they're planned together, I think. And it's not. And I wouldn't want people to think that the developer's taking down that beautiful tree when it needs to come down. So I don't know if we can put something out proactively or if we want to do that, but Councillor Dares might have a better grasp on that.
Well, I tell you, I think it's been 2 years, and more than 2 years, since we started the tree inoculation program. And to my knowledge, I think that the town, this is the beech leaf mining weevil that destroys beech trees, including the copper beech, which unfortunately that one was. I think the town has 18 trees on our inventory that are treated, and there's a number of private citizens, myself included. I have 2 of my trees done on an annual basis. I'm not sure how many other private citizens do that, but when that tree was first examined by the person, it's a company out of Sackville that we engage. When the tree was first analyzed, and it was determined that it was too far gone, there was nothing they could do. And it was a sad day, but it's just a reality of the situation that the program didn't begin soon enough to save that tree. There's a recognition that literally thousands of young people have had their graduation photos taken in front of that tree, and it's sad that it's leaving, but I think we should, I agree that we should be proactive in getting the message out that the tree couldn't be saved. It's not the fault of the existing owner, or the present owner.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just thinking on that as well. It might be a good opportunity, Councillor Dares, if you have the information, maybe to share with Mike on if people do have a beech tree on their property, how to get it checked and how to get it treated if they choose to as another proactive measure. I don't know if that might save another beech tree down the road.
You know, the program was fairly well advertised when we first set it up, and this is the second time that I've had our trees injected. The injections take place every 2 years, and in the off seasons, both spring and fall, there's an application of a horticultural oil that's done by the property owner or by this company. So we can get that information back out there again, but there wasn't the degree of uptake in the initial round that we had hoped for. So in some cases, people opted not to get the trees treated. They were offered the opportunity. The trees were identified because they appear on their inventory. They were identified, and the owners were offered the opportunity to participate, but because of the cost, chose not to. So, but we can get another round of advertisements out for probably wouldn't take place now until spring of next year.
Okay, so Mike, we'll just work with you on however he feels that should go out. Good, okay. Anyone else? Good? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, engineering, DeMario's not here, but was there anything anyone wanted to bring up? Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. I just had a question about the paving project at Vancouver Street in Maine. I'm assuming it's just at the corner of Vancouver and Maine, and that there's still going to be more work to be done after the emergency department is completed in the upper part of, because no point in doing the upper part of Vancouver Street, obviously, until, yeah, so I just wanted that clarified, that's all, and I can send him an email.
You want to, do you want to do that?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Finance and recreation report is there. Anything on recreation? Do we have everything covered? I know you've got breakfast. Who's going to breakfast? Wade and Kelly and, oh, most of you. Okay, so you're missing one of your chief pancake makers, but that's okay. Good stuff, okay. So if that many people are going, I'll do lunch, or, you know, the cake cutting and stuff on the wharf. And then, and you were gonna come down for that, were you? Okay, and then there's the park. So. Who's going to Gateway? You always pop by anyway, I usually pop by. Yeah, gotcha, okay. All right, I just want to make sure everything's covered. All right, strategic plan is there for information. Okay, business. Anonymous social media posts. That you?
Yeah, I had mentioned that. I'd like to see if council could write a letter to the provincial and federal government, I guess justice maybe. I can leave that in your hands if you choose to do this. To see if we can put some pressure on social media companies to limit the amount of anonymous posts that are filled with, like, I guess, bigotry and hatred. And having talked about it a little bit online, it was an interesting thing that some people said if you're hungry and you're looking for food and you don't want your employer to know, or something, like you don't want people to know that, an anonymous post could be very beneficial. So there are times that anonymous posts could be, or in the case of domestic abuse or that kind of thing. So there are times, I guess, that it could be beneficial, but it seems like any time that I've reported, it's an AI response that you get back, and they use an algorithm. If enough people report it, I think the algorithm says it's something worth shutting down, but most people don't report it. So it's bad what's happening, and we all see it. But these different sites that exist, the Rant and Rave and the I don't even know what they're all the names of them, but they can ruin people's lives pretty quickly with the stuff that's happening. So I know other jurisdictions have moved forward with it. Other countries have, and put penalties in place for social media companies that allow this to happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's a complex issue, I guess, because anonymous posts probably do have their place online for certain aspects. So I don't really know. I'm not really sure what the answer is, but it'd be nice to be proactive and try to see if we can get the federal, provincial, and federal government, or somebody who has a little more power to put some pressure on.
So a couple things. They won't do anything without the pressure. The government is probably the way to go to reach out. So we can do that motion to write a letter to our provincial and federal governments regarding online, I would just put online abuse. Like, that's what I put. I don't care if it's anonymous or not. I can.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Because what you're saying is some anonymous have a place, and they do, but you're talking about anonymous, that's the hate talk and things like that.
I know there's sometimes, like, I've seen posts, well, about you, for example, that somebody will post their name.
Yeah.
At least you can respond back and you know who
Yes.
you're speaking to. The anonymous part, you never know who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Sometimes and I feel the need, yeah, I have to, actually, I think you often know who it is that's doing it, but that can lead to a number of things, because you can start assuming it's somebody and not be. But it does also lead to the temptation to want to go back and post a comment, which I've done, saying what's posted is not accurate. But then, it feeds into what they're doing in the first place of writing that post. So I know it's not the right thing to do, but sometimes you just can't let it go that, the misinformation is so bad. And it hasn't it hasn't, to me, caused any real hardship. I've had a few things posted, but I know people around the table have had a number of things, and we've seen it happens a lot with politics, and it happens a lot with the school system. If a school makes a decision on something and a parent's not happy, an anonymous post goes out and everybody believes it's 100% accurate.
So you probably saw in the municipal magazine, whatever it is, the Nova Scotia municipal magazine, they did an article there, they asked me to speak.
Yep.
And then I just got a call, and I've done some like CBC, CTV, Global, just asked me, because when I put it, and because I'm just brutal about what I say, and then when I posted about a couple weeks ago, and I basically said, oh, hello, Block Button, you are now my new friend, I got a national magazine that said, we need to talk to you. And I was very honest with them. I said, I don't care what people post about me, but when it starts to hit my family, my friends, when my friends would post and say, oh, thank you for, or they say something nice, oh, Councillor Lesser, thank you for bringing up the sidewalk issue, and then somebody starts trashing you, that's attacking your friends. So, so anyway, we had that conversation about, and I only say that to say this, that the amount of media I've been doing around that issue has grown exponentially, which means the province is listening and the federal government is listening. And I think there's something, I'd have to dig it out, but there's something around the federal government that is working towards that. FCM is doing it, NSFM
They just
is
came out with
doing
some
it.
hate crime
Yeah,
legislation. in the last little
exactly.
bit, yeah.
So there's little pieces that are coming together. So I feel that if you make that motion, both the federal and the provincial governments around the issue, that it'll just add to.
And I think we have two justice ministers. If I'm not mistaken, Sean Fraser's the
He's the justice
national.
minister. Yeah, he's the
so being the-
provincial. Oh, Sean.
Sorry,
Yeah,
national.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then Scott
I was
Armstrong.
thinking, yeah.
And Scott and
Scott, yeah.
Minister Armstrong spoke
Yeah.
very highly last time I heard him speak very passionately about things that are being posted online and
Yeah.
a need to do something. He was a former high school principal who, saw what this can do. But, I think of the amount of tragedy we've had in our community in the last little bit, and how many of those people maybe have lived something online that, triggered something in them. And, you don't know anybody's stories unless you're living it or you're really close. But, I don't want my grandkids to go through this, and they've got to start looking at something. I've got pretty thick skin, I think, but then when it happens, your skin, my skin becomes pretty thin. But as much as you want to say it's okay, if it happens to me, this isn't about them writing the post about writing about being homeless.
No.
It just kind of to me, it triggers something like how are people allowed to do this? Like, how can people just go on and start making comments when their motive is something completely different, and people just assume it's accurate? And the amount of posts that you make, Your Worship, around positive things, that one person takes a negative thing, and all of a sudden you've got 20 comments, and 18 of the trolls come and they start commenting on. I know I'm going to get posted about probably if anybody's watching this, and I'm okay with that. I just hope I know who the person is. The anonymous part really drives me crazy, and the blocking part for me was around the LGBTQ community, and made a post around pride, and then the amount of comments that started coming that were completely filled with hate. And I get that it's a divisive issue in any community, especially politically. I get that, but to go to that point of some of the comments that were made on my posts on the council page, I don't want my council page to be, or my personal page to be, a place that allows hate to happen, I guess. So Yeah, I guess having said that, I would like to make the motion that we, as far as the wording, I could leave it up to
Yep.
whoever to come up with the best wording, and maybe Councillor Hatfield could help wordsmith it some. But I don't know if, I would like to make the motion that we at least push a letter through of, asking for some support on looking at tougher legislation.
Okay. Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion on this one?
So we're a member of the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities. Why are we sending, do we think this is a matter that just affects the town?
Oh,
Or do
no.
we think that this is a matter that affects province, the country?
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, why are we not utilizing the power of Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities to bring this to their attention and ask them to consider it as an advocacy item of provincial interest?
So, want me to answer that? I would do both. I would send the letter, and I would, to the governments, and then I would send it to NSFM, because that process of getting it up and running and having to choose, are we going to do this? Right? So how fast have we been? I mean, we're pretty fast on, what do you think? I think we need to send it to NSFM.
Well, I think if it goes to NSFM, it should be going to NSFM. It shouldn't be a copy of something we send somewhere else.
no.
Because NSFM is our
Yes.
representative provincially. They are our liaison, really, in a way, to matters that are of provincial interest. So that's just my observation. That
And I don't think it would be a copy. I think it would be, we send the letters off, and they're getting them from individual municipalities, then they get it from NSFM. It just adds to, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, it should go to NSFM, see how quickly they can, go ahead.
sorry.
I guess I don't know the, like the politics of how that works, because I'm not really that involved with NSFM or, the Canadian Federation, but I can leave that with anybody. I just think
Yeah.
writing a letter to somebody who might listen is kind of my motion. You can wordsmith it however you want, but I think we all probably agree that, doing something is important. I don't know what's the most important thing to do, and, okay.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. You yourself have dealt with this a lot, and of course, during NSFM, the session that we had on that was both eye-opening and a little bit scary. I agree completely that NSFM should be involved. We should also take it to the next level for us, which is FCM, and make sure that, everyone through the country, everybody's dealing with
Everyone,
this,
yeah.
and beyond the country. So this is something that, if it can be addressed, should be.
Yeah, thank you. So the motion could be, go ahead.
I just want to, this is very complicated human rights issue. And at the root of the issue is that multinational social media corporations based in the United States operate under provisions in the United States that says the platforms themselves are not responsible for the material that people put on there. And because that legislation is in place, it immunizes Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all of them, from any accountability for what kind of trash their algorithms are allowing to live on their platforms that they're making billions of dollars on. So it's a very complicated issue. I'm not sure whether the Canadian government, unless the Canadian government can find a way to bring our social media home, these corporations are operating under United States law. And so it's
deep.
we have a responsibility as consumers of social media every time we go on there. And the question is, do we cede the space to the trolls, Or, you know, do we respond when someone is being trashed on social media? I don't know the answer. And it's all of us individually have to make that decision. But when we don't respond, when trolls are given free access, it just built, I mean, they know what they're doing. They've built the platforms. They've built the platforms to make themselves a lot of money, but they're not making a lot of social harmony.
Exactly. So I would do, I think it's twofold. I think that we write a letter to the provincial and federal government looking for any type of assistance around legislation for hate speech, and we'll word that, as well as reaching out to NSFM to request that the online issue be taken on as a, what's that? Advocacy item. Yes, okay, all right.
I guess if nothing else comes out of it, I know the media is involved in what you're doing
Yeah.
and interested in it. So at the very least, the more stories you do with the media, the more, you know, hopefully good people are going to say to people that's not appropriate. And I don't, you know, the trolls don't really care if
Oh.
I lecture them about what's appropriate or not. But, you know, if I don't know if, you know, people read it, and I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes I go to those sites. I haven't blocked right now. But I've gone there before to see what's on there, wondering if I'm on there or somebody else is on there. And there's like, you know, there's almost an entertainment value to it. And if you're not being talked about, it's probably highly entertaining for people to see what the gossip is.
Yeah.
But it is completely gossip, and it's,
It is.
you know, for the most part, it's made up and it's hurting people. So I think, you know, if nothing else, I think it might grab some attention for you to do some
Yeah.
more with the media that will get the message out.
And don't forget, like, this is countrywide. As a matter of fact, Kings County Councilor Christina Sappington, she's on our board. She went, where did they go, Val? I know the next one's in, like, Morocco, but they did a worldwide, they were in Toronto, yeah, a worldwide session on many things, and she said it's exactly the same whether you're in the Middle East or Romania or anywhere, the same issues, and she couldn't believe it. Like, it was eye-opening. So it's not just Canada, it's not just the US, it's worldwide. So everybody's starting to kind of step into the ring and say enough, right? You step back long enough, then it's like, okay, enough. So we'll do that. So you made that motion and you seconded it? Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Personnel policy amendment, and the recommended motion there is to recommend that council amend the personnel policy to include 4029, 4.09 temporary remote work, section 6 compensation, and 8.08 jury duty. I don't see anything there. Oh, do we know what it was? No, that's all right. Yeah, that's okay. Sounds good. Thank you. No apologies. Minister of Mental Health and Addictions update. So the deputy and I went to visit the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, had a chat with him, and the deputy, I think you did a second meeting. So there's a couple things. Do you want to talk about that? I want to find something online while you're talking.
Sure. So we met with Nick Hilton and the minister, had some great conversations about support that could be had here. Of course, as we know, mental health is lagging around here, so supports for addiction and other things. Then I accompanied the minister and our MLA down to the old South End School, the Boys and Girls Club, or YBG, I believe they go by now. And I met with the Youth Wellbeing Network. So as we know, governments, like when multiple groups can get together and kind of row in the same direction. So the Youth Wellbeing Network, I think, is 20-plus groups that work together. They meet on a monthly basis, and they just talk about supports for youth in our area. These people have got together and put in an application, and actually we are the 8th in the province to be granted money for integrated youth services here in Yarmouth. So they've been given some money, I believe 1.2 million for startup costs for a building, and then 1.6 million, I believe, in funding for 10 years for operations. So they're currently looking for a building or somewhere they can set up. The best part is this is 20 organizations all together, so when they do find a home, there'll be a lot of support services all in one, and grateful for the provincial government for sending money kind of down our way, and looking forward to the work that they'll do and the support that they'll give our community, especially our youth who could use it. And and I think Teen Takeover is kind of
Part of it.
yeah, they've worked together with Mariners on Main to provide that every other Friday night at Mariners on Main, and then every other Friday night when it's not there at the old South End School building. So some great work is being done there. So glad to see some funds come our way, and excited to see what that could turn into.
We like it. The other half to that, when we were at the MLA's office, you know, there were lots of questions around mental health. And what is your, I think he asked, what's the biggest concern? And my answer was, can we have some mental health help where it's supposed to be, like at the hospital or wherever it's supposed to be, not, so what they're doing now is doling out money, and I've got numbers here, like it's bad. I don't say it's bad, but nearly $1 billion in the last 3 years. The Auditor General is doing an audit right now because mental health and addictions cannot say this is where all the help is. So even on a map to say like Yarmouth has ABC, Kemptville has, Bridgewater, whatever, where are all these helps? So they have to get that done. They're going to do that over the next few months just to, nobody knows. If you call mental health and addictions and say, where can I get some help? They can't answer. So that was really quite upsetting. I know that our beds went to Halifax people. There's a lot of stuff going on up there, everything but, you know, we also know that our members, RCMP members, when they bring in mental health patients, they're sitting there with them because there's nobody to take them in. So we got a lot of issues there. They know that, I think he did say that, you know, some of these organizations that we're aware of around here that say they deal with mental health issues, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say that these are your helps, as opposed to psychiatry, you know, psychology, mental health units that will take people in. So I just said that's my biggest concern. Like, we need some real professional top level help around here. And not because we don't have any, but because look at what's going on with some of our youth. Like, it's heartbreaking and nowhere to go. So we had the conversation. I think it was a good conversation. I don't think it resulted in yeah, we can do that, which is a shame, but we just have to keep pushing because this is community members suffering. So that's where we are on that one. Okay. CAO Recruitment and Selection Committee terms of reference. So the first recommended motion is to recommend that council approve the Chief Administrative Officer Recruitment and Selection Committee terms of reference. Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And the recommended motion to recommend that council appoint Mayor Mood, Deputy Mayor Barry, and Councillor Hatfield to the committee. I have that motion. Moved seconded. Any discussion on this one? Counselor Hatfield?
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. So is there anyone else interested in being on this committee? Or I'm trying to understand the makeup of the committee and how we arrived at the decision that it was 3. And so I'm just going to preface it by saying that I think this is the most important decision that council is going to make in the next 2 years. Probably the most important decision it's going to make in this term.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone who feels that they have a contribution to make and the time that's needed to participate should be welcomed in the process. That's kind of, so I'm just wondering if there's any, if there's anybody else that's interested.
Counselor
being-
Lesser?
I just want to say I'm not. And I do agree. I think it's a very important decision. Like I said before, I think anybody in this room, I think, can make good decisions, and I'm okay with whoever. I would prefer not to be. I have done a lot of interviews and hiring over my career, and looking back, I'm not sure I'm that great at it. Not that we haven't hired good people in some cases, but it's not something that I'm passionate about, but I am very excited about making sure that we get this right. So I'm good to support any 3, or I don't know if that fully answers the question or not, but I just wanted to say I'm definitely not interested.
Okay. Council is not left out of this. Like, that's, oh, absolutely. We don't hire, and I certainly can't say what the process is going to be, because the terms of reference says we will come up with a process. And for me, part of that process is the ability for every council member to ask, you know what I mean, that question, if we figure out who or 2 or comes down to 2 or whatever, to ask a question, because everybody has that different view. So, and that's, I mean, the committee decides that, but I can't see a no on that. Go ahead.
2 things. I'm really confident in the 3 names that have been put forward, that they could represent, and I think that having more than 3, it might begin cumbersome. So I'm happy to support the motion, but if there's anybody else that wants to step up, it won't be me. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Steve, Barry, and myself have gone through the process. Lots of people on the committee. We had a very large HR committee for the Mariner Center. I remember 5 was, I say very large in comparison maybe, but it does create more conversation. And for the record, I have great confidence in the people that are sitting here, the recommendation here. That's not a problem for me at all. My question is, are we still, or not still, will there be a recruitment agency involved in this?
Either way, I think that's the case, right? Because, and I say recruitment agency because whether it's 1 person or 10, we still have to interview, we still have to, right? We can't do that. We shouldn't do that on our own.
Right, and I'm not saying you're not capable of that at all, or I was just curious if they were, because if they are,
Yeah.
if there is a recruitment agency, what happened with us is they did all the groundwork. When it was time for interviews,
Yeah.
we sat in on the interviews, and then we discussed, and we,
Yeah.
narrowed it down, and then brought the final decision back to council to make that decision.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Either way, I think there has to be, no matter which
All
way
right.
we go, because we can't. I mean, I would never suggest we do that. We're not the experts in that, yeah. Go ahead there, Deputy.
As Councilor Quall just made reference to when we were doing the CAO for the Mariner Center, it was a huge help to have just that person there to be able to kind of lead the interview and us to be able to take notes and just kind of do our thing. But like, you know, to ask the correct questions or to have that kind of set and to not have us personally have to go out and do that,
That's it.
it made our long, drawn-out process a whole lot better. But at least, you know, there are companies out there that do this type of thing, and you don't have to spend a lot of time spinning tires and get down to the nitty-gritty of what really matters. So I think that would be a good way to go if we decide to. It was definitely a big help to us.
Good. Okay, anyone else? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Highway 101, the recommended motion is that council appoint someone to the Highway 101 task force. I mean, I don't know what
So
you
just,
do, but
just prior to the motion being made, I just want to give some background. I was appointed, as you know, some time ago to this committee. I only realized last week when I received the terms of reference that there's actually two voting positions on the committee from each of the 5 participating municipalities. And my concern is, not that I won't bring the message back and bring the information back, but I think that there may be, down the road, there may be some monetary obligations by the participating municipalities. And I think it's only right that we have 2 people sitting at the table and we have equal participation and equal voting. So I would recommend that somebody else be appointed as well. I don't think it's going to be all that cumbersome because I think the next meeting is in September and likely to be held in Clare. The only thing I will say is that in all likelihood, these meetings will take place through the working day. And just if that makes it difficult for people. But that's not a decision that I was part of. I do have a copy of the terms of reference and the agenda that was used on Monday that I'll pass on to whoever takes the position. And I'll also have a follow-up conversation with that person, with that counselor, just to let them know what transpired at that meeting.
okay. Go ahead, Councillor Cleveland.
Well, you answered a couple of the questions that I was asking. Basically, how much time is this going to take? If it's a meeting every 2 or 3 months, and it's, you know, a few hours long, then it's not as cumbersome as it would be, even if it's during working hours. I would be interested in being a part of it. And if no one else were interested, if someone else is, feel free to
feel free.
jump on top of me and push me away. But if no one else wants to be, I'm happy to be part of it. I'd like to see the terms of reference first, though. But I'll take it.
Go ahead. Yep.
I was just going to say that I'll serve on any committee if it happens to fit in my schedule, but I know if it's happening during the day, I can't probably, I know I can't leave work to do it. We don't have time for that, so we don't have time for that. We don't get time off for that. But, you know, I don't mind, even if there's a need at some point and there's an alternate needed and it was outside of hours, you know, I'll do whatever to help, but it's hard during the day. And Wade would be a great choice if you're willing to do it, so.
You just took planning. Go ahead, Councillor.
I'd like to nominate Wade Cleveland for the position. And you have 2 weeks to consider it because it'll be coming to council in 2 weeks. I would,
Oh, sure. When the light came on, I thought you were going to push me out of the way.
No, she's up past, yeah, deputy seconded. Okay, so I was going to say something. So all the committees that we're on, like remember in October, we review them after 2 years. So we'll just do a revamp and if we have to move stuff around or whatever, but that's where we are. You'll see Wade by the September meeting if it's something you can do, or if you can't, I think it goes with what you do, period. It's a big deal. Yeah, it's a good one. Okay. Yes, sir.
I don't know if you want to call for this is something kind of, it's not going to affect the vote. I don't know if you want to call for the vote first, and then I'll make a comment after.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Go ahead.
This is just getting me thinking. I think at some point we were looking at, or we've talked about it a number of times, looking at the committees we have and maybe merging some together and seeing what's necessary and doing all the background work, I guess, whether it's for this October or for the next council. I know in, accessibility and equity, I know there's talk already that those two potentially could merge. I don't know if that's a provincial directive or not, but it's come up at both of those meetings. I know we have police advisory, we don't have fire advisory, so I don't know what is required to. I'm not saying to add more.
No, but police advisory is ours and it's mandated. That's one that we have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just looking at all the committees and thinking, are we spending?
Yeah. So we're working on that.
Okay.
And to bring a policy forward. And there were committees as well that we should just not be sitting on them. Right?
I think there were a couple, I'm
Yeah.
not going to mention them here, but a couple I
Yeah.
know other councilors have brought up as well that, our time could be better spent on other things that people are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the one, I think getting off and running with the accessibility and the other one, that was okay. But now I think you're on a roll, like put them together and save some people some time. It's just, there's too much to do. It's going to get crazy too, like in the next couple of years, so hang on. Go ahead.
I think back to years before when there was, for example, there was a fire advisory
Yeah.
committee, there was also a public works committee. And I think that when they realized that committee of the whole could do the business,
Yeah.
that's why committee of the whole became the committee in charge of all of those other, and now we have staff reporting. I think the system we have now is a lot better.
Yeah, I think I forget that. I forget that committee of the whole is for fire and it is for planning it, right? Until you mention that, we do this, but it is you can ask anything you want in these, so we're good. Go ahead.
Having said that, you'd never want to have planning not as a separate
No,
committee
no, no.
because.
No, this is true.
No, that would never work.
Okay, so did we vote? Yes, we voted. Okay, so we've got correspondence, a thank you from Juniper House. And let's make a motion to go in camera. Should we, yeah, let's do that first. Okay, so, motion to adjourn. Thank you. And I don't think so. RFP? Oh, good, okay. Is anybody? No, we're good. We're good. Okay, so I'll call this special meeting of council to order, or do you need me to wait? No, okay. We're good. Okay, so number one, the special, we're just doing 9D. So the recommended motion is to recommend that council approve the CAO recruitment and selection committee terms of reference. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And to recommend that council appoint Mayor Mood, Deputy Mayor Barry, and Councillor Hatfield to the committee. Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Motion to adjourn. Yeah, motion to go in camera. Okay, good to go.